Hi guys, I thought I'd squeeze a live in. So, defending Elvis Presley, fans want the truth. Hope you're well. I'm in the lounge. So, welcome. We've done a few fantastic lives today. Hi Diana, I got half an hour. So I thought let's get a couple of quick lives in. I'm going to try and learn with you guys about D. Stanley. Should we just turn this so it faces me a bit? Okay. So I want to learn about Billy and the. So let me just get it up a minute. So Billy Stanley has replied to my comment saying that he watches our show. Billy Stanley also said, "Keep up the good work." Hi, Stacey. So I need you to quickly tell a few people that we're live. I'm not sure how many are going to get the notification. It's the usual story, guys. Let's tell Tony. Okay, right. So I have posted it on our thing. I don't want to spend ages doing this because I've only got half an hour. So let's hope. Let's just hope we get a few people onto the live. Just tell Deborah. So how are we all going? It's 4:47. I've just been for a long walk. Then I went shopping for dinner for tonight. Hi, Lorna. Yes, you got the live. It's only going to be half an hour, maybe slightly longer. Diana, I don't know anything about the Stanleys, but because he was on Joe's show, Rare Elvis Photos, I know Joe also has another channel. I think it's called Elvis and the Legends. So I did watch Joe's interview with Billy. I think he's done two, actually. I thought, I'm going to learn about him. I've been looking up on D. Stanley. Of course, I'm horrified by D. Stanley. She's obviously lost the plot. Yeah. D. Stanley is like, cuckoo. Sorry to Billy, but Billy, if you're watching this now, I'm sorry about saying that about your mother, but the things she said about Elvis are just bizarre. So I've actually got I've recorded two videos. Yeah. One is D. Stanley talking about how she managed to forcibly, really, how can I say it? I want to try and say this respectful because I don't want to upset Billy, but she went out of her way and made contact with Elvis to try and meet him. I think her husband, D. Stanley's husband, was Elvis's first sergeant. So that was the connection. D. Stanley phoned Elvis out of the blue and just said, look, I'd like to have lunch with you. Quite amazing that Elvis even accepted it. And then Elvis wasn't home. He was on duty. So his father met her, and the rest is history. They got married. I want to block the door up so that no kids come in. Right. We have kids upstairs playing. There's quite a few kids here with mum and a few other people. So it's upstairs is busy. So you had an auntie named Trudy. Hi, Trudy. Hi, Tony. Good morning. So Trudy, it must be morning where you are. Trudy, remind me the country you're in. Hi, Tony. Tony, I hope you're feeling well. So I'm just going to quickly message a couple of people. So, so they know we're here. So Stacey's here. Hi, Stacey. We've got Sue. So let's just very quickly, as quick as I can, message a couple of people. Let's see. There's Deborah here. I don't think Deborah's here. Let's get Deborah on. I think it's going to be an interesting short little live this because I'm actually quite interested to learn about D. Stanley, even though she's bonkers, and about the brothers. The fact that Billy has said that he watches our show, I'm sorry, Billy, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to say anything negative about Dee, but it's just the things that she said about Elvis are very bizarre. So I say it with respect. Please don't be upset with me. I think we can't avoid, if we're going to talk about Billy and his brothers, I don't think we can avoid the very bizarre interview that was done. Is it the Geraldo show? Is that what it's called? So I'm quickly messaging everyone, guys. So we got so many, now that I'm doing these videos where we're reviewing videos, we have got so much to go through. It's ridiculous. It's really opened up the floodgates of different subjects we're going to go through. So I've got a couple of short interviews. It's only fair that I let you guys know that we're live, because I don't want you guys to miss out. So you can skip past this, but if you're watching the rerun, the replay of this live stream, guys, you can just skip past it and fast forward to where we start talking about the topics. Okay, I think that's more or less everyone. I just want to double check on Instagram. We've already told Tony. Hi, Tony. Hi, Karen. Have we told Elizabeth? I think we have. I think there's Denise. Is Denise on? Let's tell Denise. Denise might have gone to sleep. She messaged on the chat saying that she was tired. So, okay. Hopefully, if you've missed it, guys, you can watch the replay later. So, good day to you. Wherever you are in the world, UK, America, Australia, wherever you are, welcome. So, let's play. Yeah, Larry, I'm going to have to agree with you. Welcome, Larry. So let's just play a video. Now, I just want you all to know, I don't know anything about Dee other than she married Vernon. They have kids, 3 kids. I do know that Elvis treated Dee's kids as if they were his own. He really sort of helped bring them up, was very, very generous to them. They all loved him. They adored Elvis. I think Elvis found it. He never got a son, did he? Because he had Lisa. So I think Elvis took it very seriously, parenting the brothers. I don't think Elvis, from what I've heard, liked Dee. I don't think Elvis was happy with the marriage with Vernon and Dee. Obviously, we know that they had to live in a different house. So, but he did like the kids. So I don't know, how can I say it? There's a lot I need to learn about the 3 brothers. I think they're very religious, or at least 2 of them were. I know one had a born again religious experience where I think he says that Elvis appeared to him in his, I think he was dead for 10 minutes, one of them. But again, it's all guessing. So we've got quite a few different things that we're going to go through. I'm just going to start with this. Let me just get it up a minute. We're going to start with Rick. Now, I don't know what this is going to say. I've never watched it. I have recorded a couple of Stanley interviews as well. I just think we're going to have to go through them, guys. Obviously, we do it from the point of view of defending Elvis, so we will be critical. Even with the Stanley, we're going to play that interview on another show, but we'll do it from the point of view of defending. We're not going to do it to make Elvis look bad. Everything we do, there is no intention of making Elvis look bad. We're here to defend. So when we go through the brothers and start trying to understand their personalities, their upbringing, the things they've done when it concerns Elvis, when it concerns books, we're going to do it. We're going to learn as we go. So this is a very early stage of it. I don't have long. I've only got about 20 minutes left. So let's just press play and we'll learn together as Team Elvis. Okay, guys?
serious drug problems. As Rick puts it, it became evident that one of us wasn't going to make it. Rick was right. He was one of the last people to see Elvis alive. Please welcome a man who has been able to turn his life around totally, Mr. Rick Stanley. You were Elvis' stepbrother. Your mom married Vernon.
Exactly. July 3rd in Huntsville, Alabama, my mom remarried Vernon Presley, Elvis's dad.
And you came from really poor. I mean, you were living in an orphanage.
Right. My parents split up when I was a child, Joan, and I was put in a children's home and orphanage while the divorce took place. And not only did mom divorce, she immediately remarried Vernon, Elvis's dad, making me Elvis's stepbrother.
So you went from rags to riches.
Exactly. It was a difficult time being in a situation like that. They found a way of punishing me by pouring Tabasco in my mouth as a child when I'd leave my bed and try to comfort my brothers. It was tough.
This was in the orphanage.
Exactly.
So now, you were how old?
How old? 6.
A 6-year-old boy goes from an orphanage where they were not nice to him, and there is Elvis Presley. Did you know who he was?
Had no idea who Elvis was when I was 6 years old. I see this young guy, 25 years old.
He was already a major star.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Very cool, very hip. And he walks across the room and he just kneels down and looks at me and says, "These are my little brothers. You're my little brother, and that's just the way I'm going to treat you." So that was the beginning of growing up with him.
And did he treat you like that?
Oh, yes. We walk outside the next day. There are cats, dogs, ponies, scooters, bicycles, tricycles, swing sets, 3 of everything. He had it arranged for his employees to buy all these toys and bring them to the mansion.
Were you very, very close to him from the very beginning?
Yes.
Did he treat you like a little brother and
yes,
that close?
He treated me like a little brother. Elvis was very playful. We always played football together. We always had a great time at Christmas time. He made sure I got a lot of attention by making sure I was taken to school every day in a pink Cadillac. We were very close.
The kids, Joan.
Imagine that, guys.
You went to school, public school in Nashville.
Memphis.
Memphis, I'm sorry, of course, Memphis. When you drive up in a pink Cadillac, I mean, do most of the kids go, "Hey, wish that were me"?
Yes, they did. It was more their parents. I would walk in class and be sitting there for a few moments, and the kids would come by and say, "Hey, what's Elvis like? Mom wants to know. Grandma wants to know." The teacher would get upset and say, "Step out in the hall," and I'd step out in the hall, and the teacher would come out and go, "All right, what is he really like?" So it was
That's so
crazy.
stupid to ask you that. What was he like? Do they still give it to you now? Well, obviously now.
Oh, yes. A lot of people want to know about the guy. And the thing that's interesting, Joan, there's so many people clamoring and cluttering and talking about Elvis Presley that people have become suspect if you're even related to the man.
Let me ask you.
So,
here's a very good.
a couple of things. I'm going to try and butt in quickly where I can. Why was he in an orphanage? What is that? What is the story behind that? Were all 3 brothers in an orphanage? That is a massive question for me. Larry has jumped in and said, we know about that horrible interview. It was like a TV show where Dee accused Elvis of incest. It's disgusting. None of us believe it. So because of it, we are not fans of Dee. We think Dee's a bit cuckoo. Sorry, Billy, no offense. And then the first thing he speaks well of Elvis. You can tell Elvis was very generous. He straight away talks about all the nice things Elvis gave him and his brothers. The fact that he didn't really know who Elvis was. Yeah, does everyone believe that he didn't know who Elvis was? I think it's probably true because I have seen other interviews, just clips where all the brothers say they didn't really know who Elvis was. He was just a nice 25-year-old man. Let's keep going, guys.
And she said she thinks Elvis had an affair with Ann Margaret. Now you come out and you say Elvis didn't have an affair with Ann Margaret. Did he or didn't he? And who knows? I mean, who really knows these kind of things?
Well, I can tell you that he didn't have an affair with her because I was there in Vegas at the time when Ann was around. Now, they dated before he was married. He had flipped over. I think she really cared about him. But Elvis had me try to, on several occasions, contact her while she was in Vegas. But she let me know very clearly, no, I will see him with my husband around, and that'll be the end of that. So there was no affair.
Well, you know, I really like that point, yeah? Because don't forget, Anne Margaret was a very decent woman, yeah? A very honourable, loyal, well brought up. And yes, we know that Elvis was seeing Anne Margaret, you know, in the movie years. I'm not sure what year it was, 63 was it? But once Anne Margaret got married, they got married a week apart from each other, didn't they? Elvis and Margaret were married a week apart from each other. Once Margaret got married, she was completely loyal. I think Elvis did stay very good friends with Margaret. We know the story where Elvis would send her flowers shaped in a guitar, I think, at the beginning of every one of her shows. So it's interesting to hear Rick say that Margaret was never unfaithful with Elvis, but yes, they were seeing each other in the 60s, you know. But I still say this: Elvis from between 1960 and 66 lived a life as a single man. He hadn't committed to Priscilla. He hadn't got engaged to Priscilla. And Elvis wanted to live as a single man until he got engaged in December 1966 to Priscilla. Let's keep going, guys.
You counsel teenage. You're a minister and you also counsel.
Hi, Carolyn.
About drugs. But you were wrapped up in drugs too. Did Elvis turn you on? Did you turn him on?
No,
what's going on?
I got into drugs as a teenager, like most kids in high school. If you want dope, go to school. It's in every school. So I started out smoking pot, hallucinogenics, one thing after another, and then I started shooting heroin when I was 17.
Where? And you were living in Graceland?
Yes. And I went through the drug rehab hospitals. I was busted in 1975 for narcotics, and Elvis came to pick me up. And this is what was interesting. When he picked me up out of jail, he put his arms around my neck and he said, "This is going to kill your mother when she finds this out." That's the side of Elvis Presley a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, he was on drugs.
Yes, he justified his life.
It doesn't make any sense. He puts his arms around you and says,
so let me just want to say that Joan Rivers, when she talks about Elvis's drug taking and I say prescribed medication and his weight, it's pretty degrading. I'm very unhappy with how Joan Rivers talks about Elvis. I think she's out of order. We know that Elvis was never a big fat man. We also know that Elvis didn't touch street drugs. He took many pills. He took a lot of prescribed medication for his serious chronic illnesses, but he was never a street druggie that wanted to just get stoned out of his head. So I'm not happy with Joan Rivers, how she portrays Elvis. Even Rick, when he talks about the medication, the prescribed medication, I don't like the way he talks about it. It's almost like Rick didn't know how unwell Elvis truly was. So, you know, some say that Elvis kept his true illnesses to himself. He didn't want to be seen as a weak man. So I don't think Rick knew everything about Elvis's health problems. Okay, guys, let's keep going.
Your mother, if there was a man that died of drugs.
Exactly. Elvis justified what he did by saying they were prescribed. He said that they were legal. He could get away with it as long as it came from a doctor. There's people watching right now at home with problem with prescribed drugs. It's a real problem.
But everybody was around. We always hear about the Memphis Mafia. Is that cool? Why didn't anyone say, Elvis, look what's happened to you? As an outsider, I saw this man who I knew vaguely, who I adored. I thought he was a wonderful man. He got fat. He got bloated. I saw him a couple times. He was obviously druggy. Why weren't all of you saying, stop it?
Well, of course, I'm offended by that. She calls him fat and bloated, a druggie. He was obviously a druggie. I just find that disgusting. Then she now will go on to say, why didn't you do anything about it? Let's hear what Rick says.
Where were the girlfriends besides buying jewelry? Where were all these people not to allow this to happen, not to stop it?
Well, I can only speak for myself, Joan. I was pretty much a gutless wonder at that time. I was afraid of confronting the man. I was on drugs myself. I was afraid of losing my job. Elvis, unfortunately, didn't have people around him that were direct enough to do that. We have a problem with that when kids hand keys to their buddies that have been drinking. It's the same type of thing, just a different scenario. I was afraid of losing my job, and that's something I have to live with. I have to look back over 12 years and say, Rick, why didn't you confront the man? Why didn't you go to the man? But I was really, really afraid of him.
Tell about your job. You went out and you trolled for him. Is that the expression?
Yes.
Which means you went looking. What does trolling mean?
Trolling meant when we were in Vegas and doing shows, after the show, I would go through the lobby and there'd be a bunch of girls sitting around and part of my responsibility at that time was talking to some of the girls and bringing them upstairs and introducing them to Elvis. And we would talk for a while. Elvis would sit there and visit with him, and then he would say to me after visiting with several of them, "I'd like to spend some time with this one." And I would pull her over and say, "Elvis would like to have dinner with you. He would like for you to come in and sit down and visit with him." And I would brief him. He would debrief him. And we would go on from there.
What did you tell the girls when he said, did they always they would end up sleeping? That was a nice way to say sleeping with them, right? I would be nice.
Well, he didn't always sleep with them. He was more into companionship. He wanted somebody there to hang out with him and talk with him at all times. And when he wasn't there, I was there. I would stay there in the room with him. We'd sit up late hours into the night and talk about a variety of things.
Now, he was married to Priscilla.
So she's going to go on and speak about Priscilla. I've only got about 10 to 15 minutes left, guys. So we're going to wrap this up quite quick, but this is just part one. Now, Tonya has just made a really good point. Thanks, Tonya. Elvis may have been seeking a way out of his health problems. Elvis turned to his doctor to help his pain and suffering. He did. Who else is he going to turn to? The nurses, the doctors, the pharmacists. That's it. There's no other way of helping fix Elvis, helping Elvis sleep, helping Elvis wake up, helping Elvis relax, and number one thing, ease his pain. So he needed his prescribed medication. No matter what anyone says, Elvis was very unwell. There was nothing fake about that. But then the other thing, then obviously the way Rick now is describing how Elvis would get the girls, how he would get Rick to go looking for girls, and then Rick would help the process of how to meet the girls. Now, we don't know if this is true. Remember that. As Tonya said, Elvis is not here to defend himself, to say his side of the story. So we have to take everything that is said here by Rick with a pinch of salt. We need to do a lot more research. We need to understand the Stanley brothers thing a lot more. It happened a long time ago, guys, over 40 years ago. So things can be twisted, exaggerated. We may not be getting told a clear picture of what really happened. This is Rick Stanley, probably 30 years ago, giving his version. Even if it was 20 years ago, it's still a warped version of what is the truth. Yeah. So again, like Tonya said, Elvis isn't here to say his side of the story. Okay, guys? So let's keep going.
At all times, when he wasn't there, I was there. I would stay there in the room with him. We'd sit up late hours into the night and talk about a variety of things.
Now, he was married to Priscilla. What about one of these girls? She met Elvis. She had dinner with Elvis. She spent the night with Elvis. She ever have trouble if the girl said, I'm not going? Or a girl's father showed up? Don't tell me, let's go to the commercial. Because I want to hear this. Did you ever have trouble?
Yes.
We're back talking with Elvis' stepbrother, Rick Stanley. We were trying to say, very often you pick up the girls, and sometimes they would sleep with them, sometimes just be companions, but they'd spend the night. Mm-hmm. There's got to be, like in Fatal Attraction, there's got to be one girl that doesn't want to say, well, goodbye and thank you for the autographed picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There were some frightening times. On one occasion, when one girl decided she wanted to stay with him and Elvis wanted her to stay, and then we get a call from security in Vegas that we have an irate father down here. The girl turned out to be 17 years old. And there was a lot of shuffling and scrambling and excuses and moving her out real quick.
And what about the father? Did he get a Cadillac?
Yeah.
Here's my ring and call me when she's 18 and a half.
Cadillac and a scarf, and he was usually okay. We usually dealt with it that way. We got into some frightening situations. For instance, one time in Palm Springs when one of the girls took some of Elvis's prescribed medication, it got kind of frightening, and we had to rush to an emergency room. So it was frightening sometimes.
Oh, my God. Now, talking about the prescribed or the medication, the drugs, when he died that night, someone told me, who was the girlfriend there?
Ginger.
That she found him on the floor of the bathroom, and left him there?
What had happened was I had visited with him. We talked about a variety of things. I told him of a girl who told me to stay away from drugs and stuff like that, get my life straightened out.
Were you off of drugs at this point?
No, I was heavily into drugs at that time, shooting heroin and cocaine and whatever I could cook down and get in a spoon and draw up in a rig. What happened was
so I have to comment on that. Obviously, this is quite upsetting, guys, isn't it? We don't know what to believe, what not to believe. But remember, he's clearly admitting here that he was on heroin and very serious drugs. So his memory is tainted by, he's off his face, isn't he? He's stoned, he's high. So he sat there completely sober there. He's looking back in the past, but we can't ignore the fact that he was on drugs and his memory is rose tinted in a negative way. We don't know the truth. We can't say that what Rick is saying here is truth. We can't. Let's keep going, guys.
Elvis went downstairs, got some things together. Ginger saw Elvis stretched out on the bathroom floor and thought he was asleep. Now, it's important that people understand this was something that was not uncommon. We've seen Elvis on the bathroom floor before. I've had to dislodge food from his throat when he was on prescribed drugs. So it was kind of common. But she went, showered, did all these things, and then called downstairs and said, I think we've got an emergency or something's wrong, and he's dead.
Was he incontinent? Well, I heard that they had to put him in diapers, and so he was really far. I mean, he was really far gone. If there's a man that's on drugs and you're dislodging food from his throat, he should have had a keeper, not a girlfriend.
Well, that was part of my responsibility the last few years.
But look at the keeper. He was on drugs.
The keeper, of all things, was on drugs, heavily in drugs.
It's great. I mean, looking back now as a medicine.
Yeah, I mean, it's awkward. It's very difficult to watch, isn't it, guys? But I mean, I find her questions, Joan Rivers, actually quite humiliating. I mean, we know that Elvis had some very, very serious constipation problems with twisted colon, megacolon. He was probably heavily on steroids. And I just think that the thing that bothers me with Joan and with Rick is, I just think some things you know, this is supposedly his so-called stepson, yeah? Some things you should just keep to himself. Some things are private. Some things shouldn't be public, you know? Because I understand IBS, IBD, Crohn's, colitis, all that kind of stuff. I know about it. I went through it when I was younger. And it's an embarrassing illness, yeah? Elvis had an embarrassing problem with his colon, yeah, with his constipation. Elvis was very unwell. We don't like to hear it, do we, guys? Anyway, let's just keep listening.
This is the sickest situation. I mean, that's coming out. He was being kept by a heroin addict. His girlfriend said, oh, yeah, he honey bunches on the floor and goes and takes a shower. I mean, what the hell was going on there?
Well, the problem was there was no authority in Elvis's life. I think Priscilla did a terrific job for a number of years. She kept him accountable. She was responsible. She made sure that he didn't go too far. And it was only the last part of his life that he got completely out of hand. But as I look back now, Joan, 12 years from now, I'm 35. I'm the same age Elvis was when I started work for him. I'm a grown man now, and I look at my past, and I look at what a terrible scenario it really, really was. But I would like to say that it was just towards the end that it really got out of hand, really completely out of hand.
He was so crazy about Lisa Marie, who was a friend of my daughter's. They went to the same school when they were small.
Let me just quickly jump in here with something that someone just said. I do think Joan Rivers is loving the sensationalism of that interview. She's like, yes, I'm getting some dirt here. I'm successful. Look at me. Look how brilliant an interviewer I am. I'm really digging out the dirt. Well, really, all she's doing is humiliating Elvis. And she just comes across as a money-grabbing interviewer that wants fame. Yeah. And she's going to start talking about Lisa now. So horrible interview. Horrible. Cannot stand it. But we'll keep going. Let's just keep listening.
God, we should have known about that.
Yes, Lisa was there, and we talked about.
What a thing for a child.
We talked Melissa, you, and what I'd like to say, thank you for referring to your daughter as much as you have on television programs. I think parents would like to hear more adult entertainers talk about children and have concern for them. But Lisa Marie walked through the house. I came back into the mansion. I'd stepped out to run some errands, and she was walking through the house. 9 years old, Joan, big tears streaming down her cheeks, saying Daddy was on the bathroom floor and we couldn't wake him up. It was a devastating time for all of us,
Horrible,
particularly
guys.
a 9-year-old child.
I mean, how does a child get over that? Find your father dead on the bathroom floor from drugs.
The only thing that I
And the
can,
girlfriend scrubbing her back. I mean, this is, and the help drug out of their minds.
I think the only thing that can help is time. I think she's older now. I think that she's been able to get a good handle on it and understand the problems her dad had.
What about Priscilla, who I like very much when I met her? She tried very hard in that marriage because she must have known he was cheating. Wouldn't she come back like Jackie Onassis opened a drawer in the White House and found panties? I mean, where does it stop? You don't know that story? Come back, we'll do another show. Did she know he was cheating? Did she have any inkling?
Yes,
Going on?
Priscilla knew it was difficult, Joan, because what we would have to do is take the dresses out of the suite, the Vegas suite.
He would leave. She would go home on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you would take the dress out.
Part of my responsibility going with a yellow pad and mark where the dresses were in her closet, take them out, take them to another room. Another girl would come in and spend a week with them. I'd bring the dresses back in. The fact of the matter is Priscilla put up with a whole lot. Priscilla hung in there a real long time. And Priscilla's a terrific lady and a terrific mom, and she put up with more than most women would.
She said in her book.
Yeah, so surprise, surprise. He's trying to keep Priscilla happy. We know about something went on with him and Priscilla, don't we? Yeah, it was all to do with signing of some kind of release. But look, he's again, Joan has fallen for the bullshit that it was just Elvis that was seeing other people. We know Priscilla was also seeing people. We know about the dance instructor. We know about Mike Stone, and there were others. So it's the usual thing. Everyone trying to blame Elvis. Now, people have to try and understand why Elvis started living as a single man. Elvis started living as a single man because he'd caught Priscilla being unfaithful in 1968, just after the baby was born, just after Lisa Marie was born. That's why. Then Elvis went back to his old ways as a single man. The marriage between 1968 and 1971 was over. It was completely fake. Elvis couldn't, in my opinion, Elvis didn't want to sleep with Priscilla after 1968 because she'd been with another man, the dance instructor. So they were both seeing other people, in my opinion, after Lisa Marie was born, which is horrible, which is just very upsetting. But the bit that bugs me is, why is it always blamed on Elvis? The bit, even with Rick here, I'm like, too much information. All of this stuff should be kept private. You know, Elvis brought these people up. Elvis gave Rick a fantastic life. Yeah. Now, Rick went the wrong way with drugs, and that isn't Elvis's fault. Yeah. Now, of course, we know that Elvis's health just got worse and worse and worse. So there was a lot of prescribed medications involved. We know that Elvis lived as a single man, really, from the moment Elvis came back from Germany till he got engaged. He lived as a single man. Then there was a very short period through the pregnancy, just after the marriage with Priscilla. Elvis tried to be loyal and faithful. Elvis catches Priscilla being unfaithful. Then it all goes wrong again, and Elvis lives as a single man, really, from then on. Yeah. But why do people never mention Priscilla's unfaithfulness? People never mention that. So you've got Rick there. Oh, you know, poor Priscilla, she went through a lot. What about what Elvis went through? I say this to Rick. What about what Elvis went through? She was unfaithful as well. She was a difficult person. And I feel Elvis was forced into a marriage anyway, which just adds to it all. So as someone said here earlier, Elvis isn't here to say his side of the story. I repeat, Elvis isn't here to say his side of the story. It's pretty obvious we're going to have to come back and watch a part 2. I'll be honest with you guys. I've never watched that. We've watched it for the first time together. I'm pretty upset about it. I'm gutted some of the horrific things that are being said. but we said that we would learn together, and that's what we're doing. So I'm going to quickly read your comments, then I'm going to have to go. But it's all these people are only wanting 5 minutes of fame and money from the memories and image of the man. Yeah, I agree, Larry. There's a lot of money involved here. Headline news, yeah? Sort of front page grabbing tabloid stuff, isn't it, guys? I stylized through hearing aids. Hi, Cherie. You okay? Is it working? So then we got you. Right, got it. You're listening through the hearing aids, right? Can you hear us? Okay, Cherie. Can you hear us? Let's have a look where we are. I'm just going to quickly whiz through the comments because I've got to go and get my son from his work. He's working in a gymnasium today. I think he's a lifeguard in a swimming pool. He's only 16. He tells me off if I'm late. So I'm leaving in a couple of minutes. I agree. He's very two-faced. I'll be honest with you. That interview I find very upsetting. Very upsetting. I'm surprised it's so bad. It puts me off wanting to play the second half. But I might watch it first and before I play it. I agree, there's money involved. So the general thing is, remember, I know nothing about the Stanley brothers. I know nothing about Dee. The whole point of this live stream is that I'm going to start trying to learn about Dee, learn about the Stanley brothers individually. Obviously, we know Billy has been on Joe's show. I want a better feel for the brothers and for Dee so that I understand it more. Obviously, the marriage with Vernon. And I want to learn with you guys, with Team Elvis. I want us to learn together. I'll be honest with you, I'm gutted I think only about 15 minutes of it we've watched. I'm gutted how bad it is. I'm like, oh, God. I wasn't expecting it to be that bad. Were any of you expecting that to be so severe? I think Joan Rivers was disgusting. Honestly, I think the type of question she was asking were horrific. I think she looked like she was enjoying it and ripping into him and really getting her pound of flesh. I think she really sussed out that she was going to get some juicy gossip. She was going for it, and I don't like it. I thought it was horrible. Honestly, disgusting. Like, I'm so upset about just 15 minutes. Rick, 100%, I think, should have just kept many of these details to himself. I don't see why he had to share them, because it's no different than the tell-all book, Elvis, What Happened? Yeah, it's the same thing. Why are these people that grew up with Elvis, that Elvis trusted them, Elvis classed them as friends, in this case, as his stepchildren, why are they coming out with these disgusting details that should be kept private? Don't they at least owe Elvis a certain amount of dignity? There's no way that Elvis would have wanted any of this to be mentioned ever, especially on TV, yeah, to the world. I just find the whole thing very disrespectful, almost unforgivable. Really, I would say at the moment, Rick should be ashamed of himself just for discussing these things in public on TV. Joan Rivers should be ashamed of herself. I'm disgusted by all of the things that she was asking. It's not good, is it, guys? Not good. I'm quite upset about it, guys. But anyway, we're going to come back. We're going to do a part 2, but I think I may watch the second half of that first before if it's just going to really slay Elvis and make Elvis look really bad, I don't want to play it. So let's just see. Let's see. But I do want to learn about the Stanleys. I do want to learn more about Dee. Okay, guys, gotta go. I'll be back later. See you later, alligator. Thanks for joining me. Sending you all love. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, I'll be back. Take care, guys.